Welcome to the Octopod. I'm Kyle Davis, head of the Office of the CTO. Join us as we dive into the latest technologies and trends shaping business. Whether you're a tech enthusiast, a business leader, or just looking to stay ahead in the digital age, this podcast is for you. Let's unlock opportunities with technology together. Let's jump in.
Welcome back everyone to my Hybrid Trends podcast series for our final episode with Steve from Coventry, where we've been talking about building a hybrid cloud strategy in the education space. And Steve, do you want to just introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, Steve Rogers. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Coventry University.
Excellent. So we're here in part 3 now. We've talked a little bit about where you've been, the journey you've taken over the last 10 years and all that modernization, the culture piece, the technology adoption piece. And in part 2, we covered why you've sort of looked at that partnership with CW and how you're using that to accelerate again into your future strategies. And I think now it would be great to look at what does the future look like from your perspective. Where do you think technology is going and the education space is going with technology specifically, maybe as a more short near time thing, and then maybe look at some of them crazy things that might be coming even further down the line from that side. So maybe what's the first thing we want to tackle, do you think?
I suppose everybody who's listening today is probably going to think I'm going to jump straight on the AI bandwagon, but I just find that AI isn't new for me. It's very established, and a lot of our products have probably been using that for 5 years. So I'm going to deliberately pick something else. I would probably say one of the main focuses in sort of the educational sector in the near future is we're going to do a lot more focus on the cybersecurity aspect of things. We're putting a lot of effort into what we're referring to as an industry term as sort of the human firewall aspect of things. We're doing a lot of education around how we're protecting systems. There's a lot more conditional based things, a lot of culture change. And that technology is there, it's just not leveraged on everything. So it's about maximizing that, using some of the automation capabilities, using our 2-letter friend, how we can look at alerts, respond faster, what is actual useful information, how do you use data a lot better to make decisions.
Yeah, which I guess our 2-letter friend there is great, but the data and the insights and the decision making is actually the outcome we want. Forget how it's delivered, it's how do we use the information we have to make better informed decisions, whether it is in security or across the rest of the infrastructure as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the sector is struggling with a lot of the sort of challenges around what we're seeing day to day with student numbers and international sort of regulations that we're allowed to bring students in. And we're having to think differently around products. And we took the approach where sometimes I think we chose a premium product just for the sake of it being a premium, got the leading platform. So if I look at sort of the near future, and even today, starting today, we're looking at products that are good enough and they're ticking a box, and you might never have heard of them because they're not in these magic quadrants or things we've been using, but they deliver absolutely fantastically and probably better than some of the premium partners. So I see that as sort of a future view of what I'm looking at, of what tools have we got? Where do we use 3 or 4 to do a particular function when I can choose one that's very good at it?
So a sort of tool consolidation play, looking at where platforms can deliver multiple functions to reduce complexity, I guess, and cost at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, those things are we're seeing them every day, and the tooling that we've made in the sort of the last 12 months. I mean, we're down from 20 infrastructure tools in our department to 12, which is huge when you're managing a whole global operation of IT. So it is possible if you stop looking at the premiums, the far rights, and just explore the market. What works for you? Because I don't think we do that enough. We go immediate to the premium, and it's selected without any thought behind that. So that's the sort of near challenge, the near sort of future trends that I'm seeing. And in an education sort of environment, the traditional sort of someone stands at the front of a classroom and delivers the same way it used to be with chalk and a board, and now it's just PowerPoint, someone talking. We're seeing the changes in the whole students' environment, how they're trying to interact with technology. They're doing it day to day. They've got it in the palm of their hands. They don't want to do that. The questions we get, well, I can do that from anywhere. So we're looking at the whole immersive sort of rooms. We're building those today. That is very near future. You walking into VR caves, We talked about with a few colleagues in the past week about is augmented reality on its way out? We don't think it is. We think that's where partners will work with us more, or we can overlay sort of latest car designs over a model. They're the things that are happening in the near future, and I would say within the next 2 years.
Yeah, and is there a lot of that sort of, whether it's called micro learning or nano learning or whatever, it's like trying to break down these sort of more monolithic courses into sort of modern consumable components, and also, like you say, not necessarily on campus anymore, is it? 'Cause it's that sort of more hybrid learning environment and remote students and all this sort of stuff. It must change some of the fundamental. You need different connectivity, you need different types of rooms, you need more adaptability in the platforms than maybe you've had 5 years ago, for example.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the things that we were doing 5 years ago today, I mean, it all is all technology led. Everything. I think that even if we do nursing, we're applying mannequins in a room with feedback devices and gloves and things like devices where you can see what the tutor sees through a pair of glasses. And we're doing all this today. It's very modern. Looks like something out of a science fiction movie sometimes, but that's how the classroom is changing. And you asked me sort of, what would I be doing further down the line? What do I see is happening as a future view, sort of longer term? What do you see in terms of the building aspect of things? So we talked a lot in the previous parts of these episodes that we're doing infrastructure, hybrid infrastructure. How do you think that's applying to buildings from what you see?
And when you say building, you're talking about campuses.
Yeah, physical environments.
I think it's that drive you said about, reducing the amount of infrastructure VMs, etc., that changing shape, and actually that evolution from, do we even need a data center, to is it actually true edge type pieces, or is that sort of more deployment of connected sensors into there, that joining of the estates and facilities people into the IT function. So we see a lot of that, whereas estates are trying to do smart lighting or whatever it happens to be, but actually not thinking about how that works and connects with the technology landscape. So we're actually trying to bring that together and then deliver a much more connected campus experience, and then bringing in, where does vision fit into that for safety, or for what's I'm looking for footfall, or for availability of spaces and all this sort of stuff, along with air quality and lighting. And then so I think there's an you might bundle it under that edge conversation, but it's a bit of an IoT edge automation story that I think needs to be brought together. But I don't think the future of that is a data center. It's something far more compact that doesn't need, almost is like wiring cupboard type conversation that you said you started from. Is almost like that circle. We started with a wiring cupboard, we went to a data center, but actually now we've moved to the cloud, so we don't need a data center anymore, but we still need something there to process, that real-time information. But I think how we create that connected building is really important, and it'd be worth probably tying in a conversation with Tim. And so Tim Russell's our modern workspace chief technologist, and he's very passionate about the whole smart building conversation, and we talk a lot about how the foundational infrastructure needs to change to support that more connected estate.
You touched on quite a few good points there, because I mean, for us it's the smart campus. I spoke about everyone's got everything in the palm of their hand. Well, outside of that, it's an inconvenience. Yeah. We've already started looking at things like Cisco Spaces today. You go into a room, it tells you what's in the proximity. We can use beacons to give you information without being intrusive. We're doing all of those things where we can sort of, your phone becomes your pass. You're near a door and the door's open for you. There's all of those things where we're trying to sort of leverage things at the edge. And that's a technology that's really making, great strides in what we're doing today. In fact, we used Cisco Spaces recently to shut down an entire building on one of our campus. So that is a technology that's proven a very good investment case. We can see footfall, we can see heat spaces. We bought it on the back of COVID, but it's some of the things that we're able to see with sort of presence. We can drive things like indoor walk be there capabilities. All of that stuff is the experience that people want to see, which is becoming very, very modern. And we can't do it everywhere today, but I think within the next 5 years, I think this sort of at the edge is where we're going to start to see major sort of changes to campuses and the way we deliver.
But there's foundational requirements then in things like networking that need to be in place to make that an experience that's going to be consistent across the campus, and density of Wi-Fi might need to be different, as the connectivity in at the switching level is likely to be different. So there's maybe a base modernization program that people could start thinking about now, so their platform is ready for the adoption, if they're not as far ahead as you are. But I think it's important for that student attraction, but also that retention piece. So will they come in the first place, and then will they stay, so that you actually get the payments that you need and to keep the university running at that stage. But it's a very different world than back when we did education for that. So yeah, it's kind of keeping that mindset of what does the next generation going to want from technology, and to, like you say, it's all just always on there in your hand, connected when you want it.
And it is changing. It's almost no longer the university telling us what we need to do next. It's almost the customer telling us what they want. And that's every single time. And we haven't got the answers to everything. And that's why we bring in partners like yourselves, CDW, to help us with that, because there's so many things you can do, but what would actually work interconnected across your infrastructures, what you do today to make it worthwhile and make sense. Because you can just have a spiraling cost on these things, and all you're doing is effectively letting somebody in a door a bit more conveniently. But what else does that bring? What else can you put in the palm of their hand, etc.? And that's what I am interested in. It's around the whole edge-based capability. And if I was sitting there having the same conversation in 5 years and I still had a server physical data center, I'd probably say I'm doing something wrong. I think if I am not cloud only in 5 years, everything that we're doing today, apart from one system, which is a 20-year-old legacy platform that we have sort of built in-house, we're at the stage now where we're putting that to microservices in such a way that we will be a cloud-only organization for core infrastructure.
Yeah. And importantly there, you'll be a cloud-native, cloud-only organization. You're not just taking 200 VMs and putting them in a public cloud. You're re-engineering as a microservices architecture all them components, so you have the flexibility, scalability to meet demands. And like I say, then that on-premise piece becomes real-time processing of data streams, etc., or aggregation of information to send metadata up to cloud for decision-making, etc. It's that piece, and I think that changes the fundamentals of what does infrastructure look like within the university space. I think we're seeing it in other sectors as well, but certainly not at this pace, because they don't necessarily have the drive that, would I still work for a legal firm if they weren't quite as far ahead as you are? Probably. But will I come to university? No, I'll go to the one down the road because they're offering me that fully immersive connected digital experience. So yeah, it's super critical for that future student attraction piece.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point to what you're saying there, Rob. And I think that we can't stand still. We absolutely can't stand still. We're seeing that there's a lot of competition out there, and there's a lot of high hopes today for everybody, going through their A levels, getting results. But what people come to Coventry is what drives what we do next. What do they want to see? What technology they're using when they go home? You don't want to be coming to the university and it's 5 years old when you've got the state-of-the-art stuff when you go back to your own personal environment. No, you've got to bring that into their workspace, their teaching space. And that's going to keep driving us forwards. So the cloud will continue to be pivotal to whatever we do. And the physical aspect of things, we will start to phase away. There'll still be the network things that you absolutely will need. That's not going to go away.
No.
But again, some of our partners, Nutanix, Cisco, they're starting to certify together on appliances. And if they can support them virtually, well, again, that's a massive shift in technology. We can start to reduce the physical aspect of everything that we provide.
I think the more you move from that physical VM based to that cloud microservices based, you're just freeing up time and space for people to innovate to meet that future demand, because you're not getting more people, I'm guessing. It's not like your team's increasing in size because of budgets and all that sort of stuff, but you still got to meet innovation for the next wave of stuff. But if we're not careful, we go down path A and then suddenly we need to be on path C, and the cost to change and all that sort of stuff. So there is a need to make sure people have got time to think about the strategic piece. Where will we be in 5 years, in 10 years? And historically, we never would have, if I'd said to you, let's set a 10-year strategy, you'd have been like, we can't do that. It just doesn't, we don't do that in IT. We do 3-year strategies or 5 or something. But I think we have to start thinking about what could that campus look like in 10 years from now? Because decisions we make today could have significant impact on that journey. So it makes sense.
I mean, thinking about it, you didn't even have cybersecurity teams 7 years ago. Now is there any company that could live without one, or somebody that's helping them in that space?
Yeah.
So where roles might change, something appears. So that's another area we need to look at.
Yeah.
But it's constant innovation. And the luxury of being in education is we see lots of different things, and people are wanting to learn in different ways. And so when I talk about the future, it's, well, what are partners asking us to do? What are the customer asking us to do? And what is technology they're bringing in, allowing the capability to be explored?
Yeah, sounds good. So when cybersecurity, cloud services, native services, edge requirements, that integrated smart campus vision is the things that I'm hearing that are top of mind for the next sort of 3 to 5 years. And then past that, it's then how do we really give ourselves the time, space and capability to innovate at the pace needed to meet modern demands and give you that agility to pivot based on what does the customer ask you for on a changing cycle. So yeah, sounds like a fun time we've got together over the next few years. So I look forward to continue this, and maybe in a year or so we redo this and see where we're at and what our thoughts are. It'd be great to give everyone an update on what the first 12 months of our engagement look like and what the future looks like then. So thank you for your time over the last 3 episodes. It's been great talking, but for now and for everyone listening, I've been Rob Sims, Chief Technologist at CDW.
Yeah, and thanks for having me, Rob. I'm Steve Rogers, and Chief Technology Officer at Coventry University.
Thank you, Steve, for your time, and thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you on the next one.
Be sure to check out the back catalogue for more great insights. Don't forget to subscribe via your favourite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. We appreciate your support, and if you have a topic you want us to cover, feel free to reach out. Catch you next time.